Hey people. So I just wanted to make a quick video on the problems that I see with gold and silver. They're pretty much in the same basket. So, they're both, or all precious metals, to be honest with you. Disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I am a big precious metals bug. I like gold and silver a lot. I like the physicality of it. I've actually got a silver eagle here in my pocket. It's a 2020. I'm going to keep this one just to remind me about what a shit show 2020 was. But anyway, since the price of Bitcoin has been going up, and I've been a gold and silver investor for about 2-3 years now, and I have run across many problems with buying, selling, storing, transporting, and the price and the future of the precious metals, and I just would like to explain those to you. So some of the problems that I see with gold is that buying it's really easy. You can go on APMEX, Monument Metals, JM Bullion, Provident, or whatever. Go on any of those websites and you can buy it immediately. However, if we're talking speed of transaction, the time that it takes for you to actually get your gold or silver takes a while. If you don't pay for the expedited shipping, which I should have added the cost here, because you can pay for shipping. A lot of places will give you free shipping if you order over $100, but if you pay for the expedited shipping to get it next day, then you still have waited a day and paid extra money to get your gold or silver. Whereas with Bitcoin, the fee to transfer, say you bought $1,000 worth of gold, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, the fee for that would probably be like $1 or less to have it to you in less than an hour. And so that's the first problem that I see with just buying gold or silver, is that it's easy. It's like shopping on Amazon and you get it, later in the mail, and it's physical. So I think that's probably the main reason why people like gold and silver, is that silver is an industrial metal much more so than gold, because gold's been hoarded above ground. There's actually probably more gold above ground than there is silver above ground, because we've been using and abusing silver in tons and millions of appliances that just get thrown into landfills. So silver gets used, and I think that just holding on to these metals, like, I think that the physicality of them actually, it does give them value. And people look at Bitcoin and say, like, where there's no physicality to it, there's no value. Well, there's no physicality to Netflix, but it has extreme amounts of value. Like, I saw this good analogy of Bitcoin versus, we'll get back to this in a second, of Bitcoin, no one watches these videos anyway, of Bitcoin versus gold, and how the digital version of the physical asset is always worth more. So, like, say for instance, Blockbuster, the physical asset, you went to the store, you rented a video, you took it home, you went back, paid a fee if you were late or something like that. Whereas with Netflix, you just pay a monthly fee, which is probably a lot cheaper. Actually, I guarantee you it's a lot cheaper than renting movies at Blockbuster. I remember my dad paying for movies that it was like $20-$25 for like 2 movies and a video game to rent. And like, looking at what you can get thousands of movies on Netflix or Amazon or any of those other online streaming video services for a fraction of what you used to pay at Blockbuster, and you don't have to go anywhere. So that's the comparison of the digital version versus the physical version. So if Bitcoin were to be at least as valuable as the physical version of gold, because we say Bitcoin is digital gold, it's a store of value, which it is, and the market cap of gold is roughly $12 trillion. And so if we say that Bitcoin is at least as valuable as gold, that would put Bitcoin at a market cap of $12 trillion, and the price of one Bitcoin would be over $500,000. So just for any of y'all looking into getting cryptocurrencies, wondering about precious metals and gold and stuff like that, like, that's just a big hint. So anyway, going back to this storage. Now, if you don't have a whole lot, maybe you have like less than $10,000 worth of precious metals, and keeping them at home is probably not, it's not going to cost you anything, but there is still risk, because say like my upstairs neighbor got broken into, and the guy stole some watches and then was gone. Like, it was that close to me, like, and I have precious metals that no one else knows about. So it's one of the reasons why I'm getting out of it. So you there have that risk of it being stolen. And if you have, say millions of dollars of gold and silver, you're probably going to be paying for a storage facility somewhere, someone to store it for you, and that's going to be costly. That's not going to be free. So not only, and then on top of that, like they say, possession is 9/10 of the law, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. Well, if your gold is being held by some company, if you own the company, good for you. But 99% of the time, you're probably not going to be the one owning the actual company that stores your gold and silver. So you have that third counterparty risk of like, if that storage company decides finds, or even just breaks the law and decides to, take your gold or silver because they can, because it's in their vault, and maybe there's some line on some contract that gets them out of any sort of liability. I don't know. I have never read or looked into storage costs for gold or silver, but there are those third counterparty risks that you have to assume when you are holding that much gold or silver. If you can store it at home, good for you. You still have that risk of it being stolen or found, or even if you just mentioned it in passing to a friend or a family member, you still have that risk of them getting a little greedy because if the price does, we'll get to the manipulation here in a second, but if the price does actually start to increase, which it did over 2020, I think it went up about 20 to 30%, both gold and silver. Gold hit an all-time high. Silver is still about halfway to its all-time high. So another one of the reasons why I'm getting out. And as that price increases, people are just going to get more greedy. So then we move on to the actual selling portion. Like today is Sunday. Can't sell any gold or silver where I'm at, so I have to wait until Monday, and then on top of that I have to wait till the bullion store or wherever I go opens, or I have to rush right after work to get over there to make sure that I can get in. Thankfully I've got one close by. It's not that big of a deal, but say you live an hour outside of town and you've been getting deliveries, and then all of a sudden you're like, I need to go sell my gold and silver. Well, now you have to make an hour trek. Sometimes you have to make an appointment. And then on top of that, it's going to be costly because not only did you pay for the gas to get over to where you were going to go, you spent your time, which is also costly. Like if you make $20 an hour at your job, just consider $20 an hour is what you're worth, or is what you assume yourself to be worth. I'm not saying that you're worth that. You're worth a lot more. If you take that into consideration, the actual cost of just transporting it back to a place to where you can sell it is already really high. Even if you only spent a gallon of gas, $2 to $3, right? Let's say it's $2, you get cheap gas wherever you're at. You still spent $2 plus an hour of your time each way, so that's $42 if you make $20 an hour just to sell your gold or silver. And then on top of that, spot price, whoever you sell it to is not going to give you 100% of spot price. So if the price of silver is $25, they're going to give you anywhere between 92 to 95% of spot price. So I got 94 and 95 on some of my recent sales, so I was up on the higher end, and that was actually right. I mean, the price of silver and gold have just plummeted recently, down a few dollars or so. I was big into silver, so I haven't really paid attention too much to gold, but the price of silver has gone down, and I was, better to be lucky than smart, because I was lucky enough to sell a majority of my silver just before it went down. It was actually peaking up somewhere around $27, I think, 26, 27, and because I think I sold it for $25.50. I'm 90% out now. So that's just, something about just selling your gold and silver. It's costly, and it takes time, and it's slow. So those are three bad things that we're already starting off with. So then you get into the actual inflation. So all right, well, one more thing. The cost, you might say $42. Even if you take out your time, the $2 for gas, the transaction fee for Bitcoin that we just assumed would be less than $1 already beats that. So just moving back on. Inflation. So even when the mines shut down earlier in March of 2020, March, April, somewhere in that time range, there was still gold and silver being produced. That not all mines throughout the entire world were shut down. Mexico, I think, has the most amount of silver mines, dedicated silver. I'm not sure where all the gold mines are, but I think Mexico, they shut down for a while, but we were still getting an inflation. And on average, they say that inflation to gold and silver is 2 to 3% per year, which is not bad when you compare it to money printing like we've had this past year in 2020, which is roughly about 10 to 15%. They created over 20% of all the M2 money supply in a matter of months in 2020. That is unsustainable. We're going through a hyperinflationary melt up, where it just numbers that we're in a bad position. So anyway, back to this. And as the price increases for gold and silver, we're going to spend more money, because if, like, say a miner has a whole bunch of gold, they're going to hold that gold until the price increases, sell it so that they can go back into the ground and get more gold. And as technology increases, then we're going to find new ways to extract gold and silver from the earth. So inflation currently is 3%. It could go as high as 5-10% even. I mean, that 10% seems really high, but if it went up to 5%, then you're losing 5% of your value every single year just by holding on to what has historically over 6,000 years been a very good store of value. But I think now that we're in a digital age, we have to think about digital assets, and that's a hard concept for people to grasp. I think the Zoomers get it the most, like when you look at like Fortnite skins that actually has like a value to them that they could put a monetary value price on. So then we get into the actual price manipulation. So like I was saying with the price fluctuation, currently I think that the inflation per year will probably stick around the 3% because of the price manipulation. And if you're not familiar, it's pretty much confirmed. JP Morgan was fined $1 billion for manipulating the price of silver. And guess how they pay for that fine? By manipulating the price of silver. So JP Morgan took over a huge silver short position from Bear Stearns in 2011, 2008, 2009, somewhere around that area. And there was a huge campaign that was started by Max Kaiser called Buy Silver Short JP Morgan or something like that. And so it was the price of silver was actually shooting up. It got to like $48 an ounce, and it was costing JP Morgan a lot of money. So JP Morgan had to increase their short position to bring down the price of silver. And so you can see from 2011 all the way, I think in 2019, 2019, I think we hit a low of somewhere around $12. Maybe even in 2020, I think we also hit the $12, $13 range. I think that's right, because I think I bought a bit of silver when that happened. Because right when the stimulus check happened, the price of silver and gold just plummeted. And so I was like, I know exactly what that seems like, a no-brainer to me. In hindsight, though, I kind of wish I had bought more Bitcoin back then, because the price of Bitcoin also plummeted, and I probably could have scooped up about half to a third of a Bitcoin. Think about that. For it was like $3,500, and $1,200 probably would have gotten you a third of a Bitcoin, which at today's prices is over $10,000. So what investments are we making here? And so you can see even recently the price of silver went up, came back down, and I'm so tired of that. Like, yes, all of my gold and silver is in profit, but I'm so tired. Like, if there were actual true price discovery, like gold and silver would be a lot higher than where it is now, especially silver. Silver would have been over $50 an ounce, and gold would be over $2,000 an ounce. And it's just not happening because of this price manipulation, because they're suppressing the prices down. JP Morgan, other banks, who knows what other financial institutions are into it, but it's definitely a thing that is happening, and it's confirmed. You can't deny it. Like, it's truth. And I am not going to stick around while another asset increases by 300%, 400%, 500% in a single year, like Bitcoin, while my investments have gone up 20-30% in 1 year, which is cool, profit, but there's a faster horse in the race. And because Bitcoin doesn't have any inflation, it actually is deflationary, because people lose their keys, there's lost wallets. I mean, Bitcoin are actually destroyed on purpose. It's a crazy story. Actually, someone destroyed 4 Bitcoin on purpose or something like that. And then another story I read a long time ago about someone destroyed 1 Satoshi on purpose, or they did it a special way to honor Satoshi Nakamoto himself. It was really kind of cool. But anyway, back to this. So we have the price manipulation. That's not going to stop. And even though if it does increase just a little bit more into like in 2021, I think the price of silver might hit $50 an ounce. If it does hit $50 an ounce, it could probably go up as high as $75 to $100 an ounce. So where it is currently, roughly 25, you would 4x your money at most. Gold, I think, would go up to 25, 3,000. So you might, we're just under 2,000, so you 50% your money? Whereas Bitcoin is more than likely going to go over 150,000, which would over three times your money right now at these prices. Even under 50, I mean, we're having a down day. It's 38,000, somewhere around there. Good time to scoop it up. So back to this. Now, there's also something very interesting. Like there is space mining. We are going to get to that point. However, if you just consider because we have found gold and silver in mass quantities, platinum in mass quantities on these asteroids that are just floating around out in our solar system that we could probably get access to and drill and mine into and then bring it back to Earth. Be extremely costly, but it would increase the amount of inflation. That's where the 10% comes in, because if we're finding mass quantities of gold and silver on asteroids and bringing it back to Earth, that's going to create so much extra supply that the price will just plummet, which probably be a good thing for electronics, or electric vehicles and things like that. So I think we're actually going to need to bring the physical metal from these asteroids to Earth. But my point is, there's some I don't know what you call it, village, tribe, community, people, country, something like that, where there were these large stones that they could not move, that no one could move because they're so big. I mean, this is a long time ago, but they traded ownership of those stones with each other. So like if you had a debt to somebody, you could say, well, I give you ownership of one of the stones, like that's my life savings is, I worked up, I finally owned one of these stones or whatever, and maybe they had smaller stones for different sorts of value. But I find it interesting in that idea, whereas if someone were to just lay claim to one of these asteroids, they had, estimated roughly how much gold, silver, platinum, other precious metals would be on one of these asteroids, I think that they could lay claim to said asteroid and have ownership of it and create value and possibly further price manipulation that way. I don't think that's actually going to happen, but it's an interesting idea. So these are just a whole bunch of reasons why I'm getting out of gold and silver. I don't think I'll ever be 100% out. Like I just showed you, I had the silver eagle in my pocket, but I just think that there's a lot other greater opportunities, even at today's prices for Bitcoin. And the only other ones I would buy would be Ethereum and Litecoin. The rest can go screw themselves. But just those three, and I don't like XRP just for personal reasons. The whole community doesn't really like XRP, but I just feel like those Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin are going to be Bitcoin is going to be the new world reserve currency. That's it. I believe that. I think that's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than a lot of people are prepared for. I think 2021 is going to bring a lot of inflation. I'm already seeing, I didn't really see grocery price increases too much in 2020. I saw it a little bit and I kind of weaned back, but I went and shopped at Whole Foods recently, and man, I thought, okay, this would probably be under $50. I was kind of looking at the prices as I was, picking stuff out, but it was like $65 for my groceries for the week. Like, what? I don't eat a whole lot and I don't spend a whole lot of money on food, but that was just kind of like, really? I pretty much bought the same stuff and it just seemed way more expensive. So, there's your price inflation right there. So just one of the many reasons why I feel like, gold and silver is not really the place to be right now. A lot of banks have been saying that Bitcoin is going to suck not value, but investment money away from gold and silver and into Bitcoin. It's already happening. I'm doing it. I'm an example of that. So I just, I wanted to put this information out there, see if anyone else thought it was useful or valuable. So I hope you do what's right for you.